So, I'm calling today's episode You're Not Crazy, You're Awakening. And if I don't for some reason, just know that either way, those are the vibes. I know that this is a topic that a lot of y'all feel in your spirit already. In this episode, we're talking synchronicities, intuition, divine guidance, and how to stay grounded when it feels like your reality is being challenged. When it feels like everything you know is being rearranged. You might feel like you're going through a breakdown, but I promise it's not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough. You are not losing your mind, you are just remembering your soul, as corny as that might sound. This episode is going to get hippy dippy, okay? If you're not somebody who's comfortable with speaking about energy and clairsentience, claircognizance, this just might not be the episode for you, and that's fine. I'll catch you on the next one. I am not a super religious person. I don't knock anybody who is. In fact, I take a lot of my ways of thinking and values from various religions, which is why I can't just follow one. But ultimately, I consider myself a more spiritual person, and this is what aligns for me. So that's the road we're going down today. With that, it's time to get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a snack, put on some comfy clothes, okay? And it's time to tune in and shift with me. Welcome back to the On Some Real Shift podcast, where I have real conversations on what it takes to shift your mindset and uplevel your emotional and spiritual life. I'm your host, Vanessa. I'm a certified life coach, mindset coach. I do NLP, Reiki, and sound bath healing, but most importantly, I am a student of the universe, or the university, as I like to call it. And if you have watched any of my old episodes, you will know that I call the universe the university because it has been my greatest teacher. I firmly believe that we are here on this earth just to learn, ultimately, and to learn and to evolve and to love. Learn, love, evolve. You know, talking about waking up, we get a lot of shit. We get so much crap from people. We get called crazy. We get called hippy dippy. And I guess this is a little bit unbelievable how much we are unaware of or asleep to until you start to wake up. So I kind of don't blame people for the judgment that they cast, but judgment just is ugly in itself. So there's that. But yeah, just know that if you feel like you're an outsider, whether it's in your friend group, in your family, at work, you feel like you're waking up spiritually, you are not alone, my friend. And let me be real, waking up does not feel like that perfect Instagram post with sage and a full moon in the background, right? It's not what it's like sometimes, but that's not the undertone all day, every day. Sometimes it feels like your entire world around you is crumbling. It's like everything you ever knew was false. Your relationships, your job, your sense of self. You know, you probably start to feel disconnected from some of the people you once felt closest to. And you might feel disconnected from some of the people that you love the most. The two are not mutually exclusive. You probably start finding yourself asking questions that people around you don't care to talk about. You might even start to ask yourself, well, am I okay? Am I tripping? You're fine. Everybody's awakening is triggered by something different. We all start to tune in for different reasons. For me, I got tired of my own shit. I will say that I was tired of myself on multiple occasions, but there was one time in particular where I just really was sick of myself. But before I tell you even what that moment was for me, that moment was really, really sacred because it kicked off what has now been my biggest accomplishment so far. Like I said, for me, I was sick of my own shit for like a lot of different reasons. But the last like real time I was just tired of myself and I knew, Vanessa, like you are living in deep, deep misalignment. I was in a relationship with somebody that I was not supposed to be in a relationship with. And I knew it for their various reasons. And they're a great person. There was nothing wrong with that person inherently. In fact, we are still great friends to this day. However, for me, what I didn't realize was that person was mirroring back behaviors to me that I didn't like within myself. They were very anxiously attached. They were not very confident within the relationship, and their moods were kind of dictated by the health of kind of whatever was going on between me and that person at that time. And it bothered me in a way that I couldn't articulate at first. And then I got very real with myself, and I realized it bothered me because the feelings that this person was outwardly expressing to me in their behaviors were feelings that I felt deep down inside within my relationships in the past. They were highlighting unhealed parts of myself. They were highlighting all of the wounds that I had to heal within myself. And I said, yeah, I don't want to move like that. I don't want to behave like that. I don't want to operate like that. And so I ended the relationship and I went on a deep dive of healing. Now, I knew there were other things in my life that I had to change too, but for me, there was something about having that behavior reflected back to me. For some reason, it just clicked that way more than it ever had. Now that I'm tuned in and tapped in, I realize, oh, that's just what happens. We attract people who are here to trigger us and mirror us and show us where our wounds are so we can further evolve and further heal. And I'm not saying that every single person here is going to trigger you in that same way, but we are here to learn and evolve from every single person that is drawn into our lives. It's just up to us to figure out, what are we supposed to learn from this relationship? What are the wounds that we have to heal? Like I said before, triggers are not bad. Triggers we can use to our advantage. Triggers we can use to heal those wounds and patch them up so we don't perpetuate those same patterns over and over and over again. However, I digress. Back to the point. That moment of understanding that things needed to shift was a very, very sacred moment for me. And it'll be a sacred moment for you when you experience it if you haven't already. That's when you start to get reflective. You start to realize that everything is up to you and you have everything within you to heal yourself. And then it's time to start peeling back the layers and diving deep. Your soul then starts to wake up and you realize that the majority of this, all of this, is just an illusion. The moment your soul starts waking up from the matrix, the self-imposed narratives that we tell ourselves, this box that we put ourselves in, the fake rules that we play by in so many areas of our lives, the moment you wake up from that is the moment you start to get closer to freedom. And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because while you're waking up and you're seeing the reality of everything, you simultaneously feel like you don't belong. You start to feel like nothing fits anymore. And there's a lot of floating between worlds, right? Because it's not an instant shut off. We're talking about shifting mindsets and shifting behaviors and shifting worlds, like I said. And it's not, there's no definitive line in the sand, but it's a process of grieving an old version of yourself, but a joyous one of shifting into the new. So the question is, when you're in that in-between space, right? What do you listen to? Where do you turn? And the answer is your intuition. Now, I want to be clear. Your intuition is not something that only a few of you have. Every single one of us has intuition. You watching, you have intuition. It's not just some magical tool that is reserved for psychics, okay? It's not something that you get. It's not something that you acquire. It is something that you are born with. We are just raised to forget. We are not raised to cultivate it. It is something that you have to remember. Your intuition is your original language. It is the voice of your highest self. It is the knowing that doesn't need proof. And I guarantee you, if you're awakening, your intuition is getting loud. And it shows up differently for everybody. For some people, it's a gut knowing. For others, it's like a feeling in your chest. For some, it's like a thought that you cannot let go. Maybe it's a sudden urge that you need to change your route home, and then something wild happens and you say, okay, universe, I hear you, right? And at the beginning, it probably will feel like fear. And that's because intuition doesn't come with logic. It doesn't come with instructions. It does not come with a definitive yes or no. This is what you have to do and this is how you're going to do it. It doesn't come with evidence. It's asking you to trust the net before you even seen that it's been cast. You know what I mean? That's why so many people ignore it. Intuition is asking you to trust your body, but you just have to be able to get quiet enough to hear it, to feel it. Let your body be your compass because your soul is the one doing the speaking. The question is, are you tuned in or are you tuned out? I very rarely question my intuition now. Every time I go against my gut feeling, that's all it is your gut feeling. Every time I go against my intuition, I pay for it tenfold. Okay? Every time. Every single time. And it's not ever fun, ever. That right there is all the confirmation that I need that my intuition is on point. So let's talk a little bit about synchronicities, because if your intuition is the whisper, synchronicities are like winks from the universe that say, I got you. You're right. You're on the right path. Keep going. Maybe you see 111 every time you start thinking about starting that new project. or you see 444 when you are doubting your decisions. One that happens to me all the time, is if I think of somebody or say their name, they will then text me or call me. Happens all the time. It's ridiculous at this point. Or the reverse will happen. I will call or text somebody and they'll say, I have a friend, she calls me a witch. She says, you witch, because I will call or text her when she's thinking about me. And it sounds like a coincidence, but the more you tune in, the more you raise your vibration, the more you start to wake up, you will see that these are absolutely not coincidences. This is just the universe, your guides, whoever it is that you're subscribing to, whoever is guiding you, whatever higher power is guiding you. It's just them confirming that we got your back. You're here. You're on the right path, or you're tuned in. Another one that happens to me a lot, is I will think something. I will hear it within seconds, no more than 30 seconds. It'll be an obscure word or phrase, like 2 to 3 words, and it'll happen in a song, or somebody will say it, or it'll happen on TV. And there's no way for anybody to know that this particular phrase or words are in my head. I've also been doing this thing where I know a word that somebody's going to use in their upcoming sentence, and kind of not complex word, but maybe not a word that you use on the regular, right? And listen, this is going to sound insane for the people who are not awakening, for the people who are not tuned in, and I'm fine with that. I don't care anymore. I used to care. I don't care anymore because it's so real to me. And ever since I have shifted into this new reality, into tuning in, it has just really changed my life for the better, and I have just had a much better compass on everything. And so I follow my intuition as much as I possibly can. I try not to let fear get in the way, but it is incredible sometimes to just see how powerful we are the more we tune in, the more we tap in. It is not a coincidence. It is divine orchestration. I firmly believe that these synchronicities are messages from your spirit team. I think everybody subscribes to somebody different. I tend to say that I talk to the universe. I know that I have guides looking out for me. I don't know if they're angels, ancestors, who I haven't figured that part out yet, but I just know that my team, they protect me, okay? The universe has got my back. That I do know. And so these synchronicities that I constantly get are from my team, are from my spirit team, and yours are too. They're constantly communicating to us, but they speak subtly. They speak through frequencies and through alignment. Again, it requires for you to pay attention, for you to be in tune with yourself. If you are running from yourself, if you are wearing a mask, if you are in misalignment, you are going to miss all of the cues. Sometimes they'll send you numbers. Sometimes they'll send you a song. Sometimes it'll be a chill that runs through your body, and you will know that that is a clarity that you have been looking for. Listen, there are times where I have asked a question, right? Just ask the universe a question out loud. And then I have walked by like a bus or some, again, obscure sign with the answer on it, with the specific answer on it that I was looking for. Okay. And you ask yourself, is this real life? And the answer is yes. This is real life. These are not just fun spiritual party tricks. Okay. These are calibrations and conversations from the other side, from the universe, from whoever or whatever's out there. Just know it's something way bigger than us. Okay. And honestly, in reality, your spirit guides are not really separate from you. They are truly an extension of you. They are not some mystical entity watching you, waiting for you to screw up, right? Or judging you, or waiting to swoop in and save the day. They are you. They are an extension of your soul, of your lineage. It is your essence across various dimensions. You are divinely protected and profoundly guided, whether you believe it yet or not. The more you awaken, the more you realize that your guides speak to you through your intuition. They're going to show up in your synchronicities. They're going to nudge you, support you, and sometimes knock your ass into alignment. Your guides aren't something that you have to necessarily see. I don't think I have ever really seen anything. I don't tend to see apparitions. See, now we're about to get real hippy dippy. Okay, so I'm clairsentient and claircognizant. So what the heck does that mean? Clairsentience means I get a clear feeling. I have the intuitive ability to feel energy. I can pick up on people's emotions, their physical sensations, or energetic shifts in the environment, even if there's no logical reason for it. Sometimes it feels like getting emotional for no reason. Sometimes it's tightness in my chest. I can definitely feel other people's feelings. Is almost like being an emotional or energetic sponge, which is why you have to be so firm in your boundaries and that kind of thing, because otherwise it is so exhausting. Clear cognizance. I have a clear knowing. I have a strong intuitive ability to just know things without any evidence or reasoning behind it. And this shows up as kind of like instant downloads that drop into my mind. And I've gotten into the habit of just like writing them in my notes app in my iPhone because they are so random and so ridiculous, and they will come with no rhyme or reason, to the point where like almost wasn't believing it myself. And I thought the people around me weren't believing me. So I had to be like, hey, see, this is time stamped. I just need you to see that I wrote this down on this date and time, and this was 2 weeks ago. I knew that this was happening because like it's so wild, but it's also so cool. It's a lot of knowing something before somebody's going to say it. It is a lot of feeling certain about a decision or a situation, whether it has anything to do with me or not, even if it doesn't make any sense on paper. I just know there are things that have happened at my job that I have known about, and I can't say anything. But like I would tell my mom, for instance, I would tell her, hey, I have a feeling X, Y, and Z is going to happen, and then X, Y, and Z would happen. And again, I would write it down and it would be timestamped because it would happen. So those are just two of many intuitive languages that I speak. And for me, I feel like those are two of the hardest ones because it feels like I have no concrete proof because I'm not seeing anything. I'm not hearing. Well, I guess maybe am I clairaudient too if I can think something and then hear it? I don't know if that counts as clairaudient. I don't hear voices. Yeah, so clairaudience is like hearing synchronicities or voices, sounds, etc. And clairvoyant is having visions or seeing apparitions. Thank goodness I don't have that because I can't handle that. Honestly, I've lost track of where we even are in this episode. Did I mention I didn't really script this one? Because I just kind of wanted to talk. Bad mistake. Won't do that again. I normally at least outline them so I can keep my thoughts coherent. We're like an hour in, girl. I don't know where we are right now. But let's just try and bring it back for a second, okay? I don't know where we are, but we're going to find our way, okay? All of us are souls at the end of the day. We're souls. And these bodies right here, these meat suits that we're wearing, they're on loan. They're not ours. They're on loan. And however, it's hard to remember that because we are here in these meat suits, navigating something that feels very real to us, paying bills that feel very real, navigating relationships and work and societal expectations. And so awakening doesn't mean that you are suddenly floating around in white linen at perfect peace, or maybe you poof into pixie dust, right? Although that would be cool. But what it does mean is you start responding differently. You start craving more truth than you do approval. You stop tolerating so many energy leaks, and you start to prioritize your peace and your presence. You start to prioritize your purpose. And through the process of awakening, you're going to lose people and it's going to be painful. But I want you to remind yourself that not every loss is actually a deficit. Sometimes you're just making room for what is supposed to be in your life. There's that corny saying that, some people are in your life for a reason, a season, or whatever. There's some truth to it, right? Not everybody is in your life for forever, and that is okay. When you start to awaken, you start to understand that everybody, like I said earlier, is here to teach us something, is here to mirror certain behaviors back to us, to help us elevate, to help us evolve. And when we can learn to be present and live in gratitude, live in that space of love and light, life becomes a lot more enjoyable. And when you do tune into that, the right people and the right opportunities start to align. Awakening is hippy dippy and all of that, right? But I think one piece of awakening that we kind of gloss over, we don't realize as part of that process, is you start to realize that you are not your thoughts, you are not your trauma, you are not your titles. You start to become the observer of your own life, of your own thoughts, of your own patterns, of your own traumas. And you start to become aware, you start to realize that these were just oftentimes probably like coping mechanisms, terrible coping mechanisms that we have adopted throughout our life, but that there is actually a soul behind those identities. I think it's one of the most powerful parts of awakening, to be honest with you. And it's really disorienting when you stop identifying with those thoughts. When you start to realize that voice in your head that's been narrating everything, telling you that you're not enough, telling you that you have to prove yourself, that you're behind, that voice is not actually you. It's just a voice. It's just a program. It's a pattern that you picked up to survive. It's mind-blowing. Because you realize how stuck you've kept yourself. You realize how much you've bullied yourself. You realize how constrained you've kept yourself. For the first time, instead of being the thought, you become the observer of the thought. That's awakening. It's subtle, but it's radical. Because now you're seeing your inner world from a higher perspective. The space between you and that mental noise gets bigger. And in that space is the truth. You're not your trauma either. Yes, you've experienced pain. Yes, it has shaped you, but it is not who you are. It is in the awakening that we can let go of being a victim, that we can stop pointing the finger at everybody for what they have done to us and start reclaiming our energy, reclaiming our inner narratives, and returning to who we were before the trauma was ever inflicted. How long are you going to allow somebody else to affect you with their shitty behavior? See, I talk about letting go of the victimhood mindset so much because people are addicted to it and they don't know it. Because it's very easy to hide behind being a victim because it's not easy to face yourself. See, it's very easy to point the finger at somebody and say, well, I'm like this because of all the pain that they caused me. And you may be very valid in the pain that you experienced at someone else's hands. But at what point are you going to take your life into your own hands? Or are you forever going to point the finger at somebody else for where you are? And again, this is not to diminish anything that anybody has gone through, because trauma, the spectrum is broad, vast, deep, and wide, okay? And I understand that. But the truth is, every single one of us, there's not a single person on this earth who is exempt from this. Every single one of us is responsible for our own lives, for our own reality. And it is up to us. It is our duty to love ourselves so much that we reclaim our power, we reclaim the narrative, and we wake the hell up and realize who we really are. Awakening invites you to release that need to wear those wounds like an identity, like a shield almost. To stop being the strong one, for instance, who always survives. To stop reliving the same story just because it's familiar. To stop making the same shitty choices in partners because it reminds you of your crappy mom or dad. That part of you is valid, but it's not the whole of you. And then there's the other externals, right? Like the titles, your job, your relationships, your achievements, the image that you have built for social acceptance and safety or approval. They're important because we're here in the 3D, right? Like this is kind of our reality we're here in right now. But if you're not in tune with who you really are, if that is what you are living for, if those titles are your reasons for existence, I guarantee you life is going to start to feel hollow. It's going to start to feel like a costume that used to fit around the neck, but it's starting to get tight, Because when your soul starts to wake up, it does not want to be defined. It wants to be free. It wants to be authentic. It wants to be whole. It wants to be vulnerable. And this part of the journey can be very scary. And there's grief in it. People don't realize that. Who am I without my trauma? You got to figure that out. A lot of people don't know who they are without the trauma. As ridiculous as that might sound, it's not. If you are somebody who has experienced an immense amount of pain, immense amount of trauma, I want you to ask yourself right now, who are you without that? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? Who are you as a person? What are you passionate about? What drives you? What motivates you? What would you do every day, all day, without getting paid, for instance? Ask yourself, who am I if I'm not the person people expect me to be? Who am I if I'm not constantly performing for love and acceptance? Because here's the truth. You are not your coping mechanisms. You are not your curated personality. You are not the voice that doubts you. You're the one witnessing it all. You are the presence behind the mask. You are the soul that has always been there, just waiting to remember. And the more you root into that truth, the less you need to fight to prove or to perform. You just are. You can just be. It's not delusion. It's not losing it. It's coming home to who you are. I feel like I said so much, but I didn't say anything at the same time, Like I've barely scratched the surface with these episodes. You're not crazy because you're crying more. You're not crazy because you are suddenly more sensitive to energy, to people, to noise. That's a big one, to noise. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't. Like coming home to TV all day, every day drives me in. There was a time I couldn't sit with myself. I had to be distracted. And now I crave peace and quiet. I can't tell you how many times I just drive home with no music playing because I need the quiet. Anyway, you're not crazy because you're feeling things deeper than before. You're not crazy because you're examining where your traumas and your pains came from. You're not crazy because you are feeling your ancestors guiding you. You're awakening. You are tuning into the frequency of truth. You are remembering that life is not just survival. We're not just here to pay bills and kick the bucket. You're here to remember that life is sacred. The journey is actually so beautiful if you allow it to be, even through the hard stuff. Really, the only thing that matters is love if you really think about it. All this other stuff doesn't really matter. The shift is messy, it's magical, it's uncomfortable and holy all at once, my dear. And maybe you're in the thick of it. And I love that for you. It's not a journey that you're going to ever get off of once you get on. There's no destination. There's no peak, no final stage, no final boss that you have to defeat. It's a constant flow of evolution. If you're seeing signs and feeling confused, if you're being pulled towards something that you can't explain, keep going. You're not behind. You're not broken. You are becoming. Let your intuition lead. I guarantee you, if you really follow your intuition, it probably doesn't actually ever steer you wrong. And even in the times where it looks like it steers you wrong, when you take a bird's eye view a couple weeks or a couple months later, you realize it was just putting you in alignment for something better. Every single time. Let your intuition lead. Let your guides show up. Let the synchronicities crack you open, because awakening is not a detour. It is the assignment. I appreciate you spending time with me, especially on this one, and for trusting me to allow me into part of your process, and for letting me speak to you a little bit chaotically about the part of you that already knows. If this message felt like confirmation for you, or a message that you didn't even know that you needed, share it with somebody else that is also in the thick of it. You never know who else needs to hear that they're not crazy either. Follow the signs, trust the nudges. I didn't even get into this whole new earth we're shifting into right now. See, I can't right now. Listen, we have so many more episodes to talk about this. Okay, all right. I'm getting detoured. The veil is thin. The universe is talking. And I'm here for all of it. As always, I am super grateful for your time. Until next time, stay soft, stay open, and trust that shift. Peace.